councillors and staff. It's okay, it's now 5 o'clock. We'll open the meeting. In accordance with the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulation 2015, the public is advised that the proceedings of the meeting of council will be recorded on digital media to assist in the preparation of the minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussions of the meeting is available. West Coast Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 368 is record of attendance, apologies and leave of absence. We've got an approved leave of absence for Councillor Hamer and all other councillors are present. Item 369 is financial interest. If any councillor at this stage has a financial interest on any items on the agenda, may declare that interest now or before discussions on the item. Okay, item 370, confirmation of the minutes. Recommendation is the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the West Coast Council held on Tuesday the 22nd of October 2024, a copy of which having been previously circulated to council prior to the meeting be confirmed as true and accurate record. Someone like to move that way, please. Move Councillor Newman, second Councillor Butterfield. Put that to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 371 is public participation and question time. With 15 minutes set aside of the meeting is available for members of the public. If there is a question from the public, please can you announce your name and address before asking the question. Any questions from the gallery? No question. Have we got any questions?
No questions.
No. Okay. Councillor, item 372 is councillor raised issues and information. We have some questions on notice, I believe. Councillor Butterfield, I think that might have been your question.
All right, I wasn't sure it was on notice or without because it sent only a couple of days ago. But my question is, with the onset of daylight savings, many public toilets across the West Coast, including Zee and Straw and Rosebery Tulla, and those located in other towns, are being locked early in the evening, even though it's still daylight. Additionally, some of the facilities are not open early enough in the morning, such as in Tulla where the shop is. People are stopping at the shop, nowhere to go. But the toilets remain closed. Given the increase in traffic during the summer period and the lack of other options, especially on weekends and public holidays, would it be possible to extend the opening hours of these toilets to serve both travellers and the local community, especially the ones on time locks? You know, can we have them open longer? I was come back through Rosebery the other night at 8 o'clock and I had to wait until I got home. So there's, you know, I think they could be open longer, especially with the automatic locking systems in our towns and communities.
Thanks, councillor. Yeah. Any other discussions, councillors?
I think we can already do that in daylight savings. I thought that times did change.
No, Tulla, Rosebery, they're still shut.
They're still shut.
Afternoon.
Sorry, I thought we didn't discuss questions without notice. They were just taken,
Yeah.
right? We don't discuss them?
We can discuss them if we want.
Oh, okay.
Through you, Mayor, we have done some work to get them operating at later hours. If I can pass to Manager Operations and Infrastructure.
Through you, Mayor.
Yeah.
We definitely can do this. There was a consideration around balancing the later opening hours with the increased risk of vandalism. So we just wanted a happy medium back with the proposal to consider. But yeah, there are some that are programmable and some that aren't. So obviously the ones that are programmable we will, the ones that aren't we'll probably maintain that set sort of rostered hours of the workforce.
Offhand, which ones are what?
The programmable ones are Tulla, Zee, Rosebery and the slipway toilets in Zee.
Strong.
Sorry, sure.
Yeah.
The Queenstown ones aren't?
moment, I don't believe, yeah. Not on the list that I've got. Double check that if that doesn't sound correct.
And I thought they
So it's
were.
only,
So through you, Mayor, does that cover everything on your radar? Or?
Yeah, it's just, the public toilets that are locked on time locks, they're shut way too early and not open early enough in some, and I think they all should be reviewed, especially during the daylight savings
Yeah.
periods.
so you have People's Park, the Heads, the other ones in Main Street of Strawn, the only ones not on time lock. Oh, in Queenstown. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, yeah.
I guess, and given that we've got the CCTV program kicking off shortly, that would cover all them locations with CCTV, so vandalism probably, if there is vandalism, we'll be able to pick up what's happening there as well, which might mitigate some of that issue around that. Now, at least, you know, if we've got one toilet block in each community that have got time locks on it, I think that should suffice. Thanks, councillor. Any other questions without notice?
I have two, Mayor. The first one, can council seek an update from State Growth on the status of the Fossey River toilet replacement and the subsequent construction of the heavy vehicle rest area at Fossey River?
So, through you, Mayor, I'm happy to take that on board and check in with State Growth. I know the last time we spoke to them and following their discussion with councillors, they had gone back to the drawing board around the number of facilities required. Aaron, do you know if there's been any other update?
So we did get an update. This was asked, was this last month maybe? Councillor McKay, did you ask the question on this last month? Or was
A couple of
The
months.
month
months
before.
ago, was it?
Before,
Yes.
Yeah. So they did come back and say that they went back to the design and it was going to be early in the new year before they started construction.
Okay.
We can provide an
That
update.
when
Check in.
probably
That'd be
They
good.
listened to us and,
Yeah.
and I think they said they're
Further
going to put
update.
another toilet, so 2 toilet facilities, so yeah.
My second question, Mayor, is given the playground updates across the West Coast and the coming peak tourist season, could council provide an update on the status of installing baby change tables at public toilets across West Coast towns?
Through you, Mayor.
Through you, Mayor. The equipment has been ordered, so we seek an update from the supplier and ETA.
Thank you.
Okay. Any motions without notice?
Just got a question.
Oh, sorry.
please, Mayor. Or
Sorry.
technically a question.
Yep.
A statement. I'd just like to say congratulations to council on organising the great day at the Gravel. Bringing Chris Fagan and the Premiership Cup to Queenstown was fantastic and a great effort by council to facilitate.
Thanks, council, but also we need to acknowledge the work that the Crows Football Club done as well in that. Especially their secretary was very much involved with that organisation along with the council growth and change staff. So, yeah, no, it was a great, and even, right back from the letter we sent off originally, there was involvement there from our executive officer as well. So, totally agree. It was a great event, and him and his family certainly did appreciate the experience to come back to Queenstown. His mother has been back in recent times as well, but it was certainly his sister. It's been a while since she's been back, so great appreciated by a lot of people in our community as well. So thank you for that. Any other questions without notice? Sorry, councillors. No. Motions without notice.
Yep, so I have a motion without notice. It relates to the West Coast Visitor Information Centre at Strawn. It says the Visitor Information Centre is a valuable resource for tourists seeking information regarding local attractions, accommodation, dining options and travel advice. Considering upcoming infrastructure upgrades, the centre could provide an additional key touchpoint for visitors, helping to manage and direct traffic, reduce confusion and ensure that visitors are encouraged to stay longer in the region, benefiting local businesses and the community. Some of the rationale for this is increased tourist traffic. The region's expected to see a rise in tourism over the coming months, which will attract both new and returning visitors. Keeping the Visitor Information Centre open on weekends could serve as an essential support system for those looking for information, maps and local recommendations, especially during peak visitation periods. Could enhance the visitor experience. Many tourists rely on visitor centres to plan their journeys and ask about current conditions such as road closures or activity availability, and gather local insights. By offering this service on weekends, the centre could play a more proactive role in creating a positive experience for visitors. Could have an economic opportunity, encouraging visitors to stay longer in the region by providing timely, relevant information about local attractions, events and services. Could potentially increase spending in the local economy, especially in hospitality, retail and tours. Proposed be for a trial period, which would allow council to assess the effectiveness of weekend offers. The outcomes of the trial can be evaluated based on visitor feedback, staff capacity and overall impact on tourism outcomes and visitor centre revenue. And if successful, a longer term strategy for weekend operations can be considered. I just put the trial period could run from when implementation through to the end of the current tourist season, which is sort of March, April next year. Weekend opening hours, just suggested 9 to 5. Staffing requirements and any additional costs can be reviewed and considered within the budgetary constraints. Visitor feedback to be collected and assessed, assess the success of the trial and to guide any decisions for future opening hours. I believe that opening the West Coast Visitor Information Centre in Strawn on weekends for the remainder of the tourist season would provide valuable support for visitors and enhance their experience in the region, particularly, like I said, in light of the upcoming waterfront upgrade. The trial period would give council the opportunity to evaluate the effectiveness of this extended service and determine if it should be continued in future years. And I'd like to recommend that council approve the trial of the weekend and public holiday openings for the Strawn Visitor Information Centre, as outlined roughly in the motion above for the 2024 coming season.
We need a seconder for that motion, please, councillors. Have we got a seconder? I'll second it for the reason for discussion. Open for discussions, councillor, for or against. Councillor Mackay.
Thank you, Mayor. I see there's many more aspects of this motion to consider, and a need to understand the tourism industry a little bit more that I'd like to share. Number one, the visitor numbers in the region increasing or declining. I've looked at the Tasmanian visitor statistics and the TB analyser, and this shows we're about on par. But to look in the actual agenda and look at the West Coast visitor numbers in October, you'll see that this October 2024 in comparison to 2023, there's just under a 20% decline in visitation. And if you look at the numbers to date in this agenda, it's 22.5% lower in visitation through the doors. So it's actually showing that there is a decline in visitors coming through. I think we need to understand the West Coast tourist and their machinations a little bit more. We're seeing a massive sway at the moment with Saturdays being very quiet due to the Salamanca effect. And basically that means that most tourists want to be in Hobart at Salamanca on Saturdays. So the busy time then starts for Strawn after the market, and the average lead-in time for the West Coast is 65 days for people to book. So most visitors to the region have pre-booked their accommodation. I see this as a great cost to council in our current financial environment, and I don't see the benefit to the community in opening of a weekend in the current state of the visitor centre. However, following the upgrades, I would see that there would be a benefit, because there'd be more options to make a profit from the area with a larger footprint and more retail ability, thus taking the burden of funding from council. I see that we have other options in ensuring that we have natural assets available during these times, and that they're well signposted. For example, Hogarth Falls, Horsetail Falls, Spray Tunnel, Stitt Falls. These are natural assets that bolster the paid activities and that will keep the tourists longer. There was a great document put together by the Growth and Change Department on natural assets of the West Coast and how to sign these up for the tourists. Maybe that could be something that could be revisited.
Thanks, Councillor.
Thank you.
Through you there, yeah, we definitely are seeing the Salamanca effect in the accommodation business greater this year. I think the numbers, Councillor McKay, may be a reflection of the hours that the Tourist Information Centre has been open over those times, as well as perhaps a slightly lesser tourism gratuity, but we certainly have had the facility closed more hours and therefore has less hours to capture the data of the travelling tourists. So I think there's a parable effect going on there with you know, our opening hours and our ability to establish just how many tourists we're getting through the door. But again, probably a bad time, Councillor, for this, because we're going to move it to some sort of temporary facility over this next period. I don't know that we'll capture really good data from doing it this season. You know, my opinion of the Tourist Information Centre has been well documented, so I won't go around that. But I don't know that this is a good season to do it, to be honest. I think we're going to have it set up in a temporary facility to start with during the construction period. Tourists are going to be a bit jaded because of that already. I think if we were going to try and capture some realistic data and use that data to bolster up what hours we should be providing that service, I don't think this is a good season for it, to be honest. I really don't. And do we know where that temporary facility
I
might
was
be?
about to ask that question to the General Manager, if you could...
Through you, Mayor, we're looking at opportunities at the moment. Yeah, there's a couple of facilities that may operate, but it will be a much smaller space
Exactly.
with less opportunity, and we're already looking at removing a lot of the merchandise and really focusing on a bare bones service.
And we're going to have frustration with parking, we're going to have frustration with access, we're going to have a lot of frustrations this season. I really don't think, Councillor, it's a good year to do it. Other years I might be more supportive, but not this year.
And you're quite right, Councillor McKay, on the decline on visitations on the West Coast. That is, we had a presentation from Tourism Tas at the Legat meeting in recent times, and yeah, that's shown that the West Coast was the only area in Tasmania, in the Northwest Coast that had a decline in tourism in our areas. So. Any other discussions, Councillor Forum?
Just a comment. I think the spirit of it is very good, Councillor Butterfield, but I won't support it simply on the timing side of things. And I like Kerry's idea, Councillor Graham's idea, of getting some really robust data so that when we do decide to make the hours work for the tourists that are visiting, we can really back that up. So an example might be, you know what, we don't see anyone between 8 and 10, so we're going to open from 10 o'clock till 6 o'clock, just as an example. So that would be my reason for not supporting it currently, but certainly in the future.
What's General Manager, if you may, what are the opening hours at the moment and days?
So at the moment it's Monday to Friday, 10 to 4. Some of that work around the when people are around, so people tend to come in and go on the boat, and so there's a bit of a gap then, and then there's an influx as people come off in the afternoons. There has been, I think, in the community it's raised that it should be open weekends, but as you say, it's difficult to get that evidence base.
And I will say further to that, most of my customers are looking to go to the Tourist Information Centre when they get here, which is not until after 6 this time of the year, well and truly after it's closed. So that when they want to access it, they can't, it's not there, it's not open. So the timing that it's open has always been debatable around this table. We've debated it many, many times, but this time of year they come in later. They tend to get away a little bit earlier, and the times that we're opening really aren't meeting again, we're not catching the numbers because we're not open at the right time, you know? Yeah.
And through you, Mayor, there is work we're doing to make sure that the information we provide is accessible outside of hours, so QR codes on the outside, focus on our website and our online materials as well.
Any other discussions, councillors? No discussion, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Motion is lost. Thanks, councillors. Okay, item 373 is Mayor and Councillors' diaries and communications. Note, Council resolved that the Mayor's and Councillor diaries and communication as presented be noted. Any questions on any of them items, councillors?
Yeah, Mayor, if I could just ask you if there was anything to update on your meeting that you had with Hydro and the Parks and Wildlife and Let's Bay Jetty Association.
Yes, so with the Hydro, we met with the acting CEO of the Hydro and General Manager of Assets, Jesse Clark. It turned out to be a very resourceful meeting, as you could say. They were quite... there was a little bit of angst about some of the media that went out, and we still beg to differ about some of their reports that they've since put in the media. But no, from our point of view, it was quite a very good meeting with them, and they certainly have. I guess they understand where we're coming from as well. There was discussion about some of the funding that the Hydro had pulled out of, especially around Tulla with the walkway, a trial around the edge of the waterfront. The general manager at the time, he was not aware that funding had been pulled, so he did undertake that once the general manager had sent him some information, he would investigate that. I don't know whether you've got any more to feed on.
So we've had a couple of conversations. They're definitely more willing to be more facilitative and have also provided that opportunity for escalation. So now I speak directly to Jesse, and so that it's not internal department saying that's not in my budget. It's actually a whole of Hydro view with an understanding of the strategic priority of their relationship with the West Coast.
And I guess with regard to the issue with the Hydro rates, they have advised us to go and talk to the Secretary of Treasury regarding that. So we'll be organising a meeting to meet with the Secretary and discuss that.
And I note Midlands, is it? Midlands motion?
Central Highlands.
Oh, Central Highlands.
Yeah.
The motion got up at LGAT, so...
Sorry, no, that wasn't, that was an Legat one, so that Central Highlands one, they didn't put up.
But there was a motion put on about it.
Because this other one was already on the table,
Midland,
from Legat.
Yeah. So we're getting some traction up there.
And just on that fact, we had a presentation from the local government office also at the Mayor's and Deputy Mayor's workshop. And they are taking it further as well with regard to rating wind farms and solar farms, so that they're taking that on board as well, which is good to hear that they're listening to our advocacy in the past. So, yep. That and Let's Bay, so we met with Parks and Wildlife and also the Let's Bay Jetty Association. And it appears that we've come to, there may be a light at the end of the tunnel there.
Yeah.
I think the Let's Bay Jetty Association had to go back, had to look at the lease, and there was a change to be made around the time frame that they needed to get the jetty completed. I think that was all discussed, and there was a time frame of 5 years. With an extension up to 10 years for the whole completion. So they were happy with that. I'm not sure whether the association has sent that signed lease back to Parks as yet. We haven't heard, but there was some light at the end of the tunnel, and the discussions read fairly well. So we're just waiting on the association to sign that document and send it back to Parks. I haven't heard anything from Parks as yet.
No.
No.
Positive, isn't
That is positive, yeah. So I guess, you know, they are listening and just, you know, I think there was a bit of... The original lease was a lease that they send out to all leasees. Yeah, so we're able to discuss that with them and set some achievable goals, I guess, for the Letts Bay area. Any other discussions, councillors? No. Okay, that was for noting. Item 374 is councillor workshops. The council resolved to note the following workshops were conducted by council since the last ordinary meeting. So 26th of November 2024. Strawn Wharf financial update, the unconformity and also councillor discussions. That's for noting. No discussions on that, councillors? Item 375 is councillor's decision status report action item list. For noting, council resolved that the status report action item of open meeting decisions be received. Any discussions on any of them, councillors?
Yes, that was me.
Yes, councillor McKay.
Thank you. Just a couple of queries and some updates, if I may. Page 14, the West Coast Wilderness Railway, the remediation of the Esplanade area. Is there any update as to when that will be remediated?
Thank you, Mayor. Not at this point. We were, still working with the Wilderness Railway on whether they had some resources available to contribute as well.
Please.
I understand it's a very pressing issue.
Yes. Can I continue?
Yes, councillor.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Page 15, the Strawn Playground. The water connection for the water feature still is not connected. And we've hit this beautiful warm weather with the kids not being able to play with their water feature.
Through you, Mayor, I've had a number of discussions with Taswater and escalated the issue. I understand we're on a better path towards a solution.
Through you, Mayor, we've got confirmation of the connection and the requirements, some of which are Taswater's responsibility, some of which are ours. So we have progress. It is in motion. It's not stuck at the moment. It's moving forward.
It's reputational damage for council that we need to.
Can I ask what the
Really?
constraints have been?
I don't know the technical details, but there's a particular kind of valve at that type of infrastructure that isn't just a normal residential connection.
The feral cock, they call it. It needs a feral cock.
It needs a cage at the front, similar to a pool. So,
$200 valve has been the constraint.
Up until this point, it's been that they said that there was no water available at the site. So there was a lot of back and forth with Taswater to confirm that we knew there was water there and we needed the connection. So this is the actual infrastructure piece is the last step and should be simple, but it's been a lot of work.
So who in Taswater have we been discussing this with? Just local people, or has it gone all the way to the top?
No, it's gone all the way to the top, so I've had
So
a number of
sand
discussions. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any others? Question? Yes, councillor. Okay.
Page 16, the Quarry Heads Road. I believe that there's been an interim solution popped in there. Can I just get an update what that interim solution is and what the long-term solution is going to be, please?
through you, Mayor, we've gone through permitting to move the road over a substantial amount away from the eroded affected face and stabilise that face as well. I expect it'll be an interim solution, be a number of years in terms of being an interim solution. The permanent solution, we will seek funding opportunities to either stabilise the bank or move the road further away from the ocean. Just have to do a cost benefit on which is going to be a better outcome.
And there is a broader issue around coastal erosion more generally, and potentially needing some work done for a study on the impacts of that, particularly in the Strawn area.
It'd be nice if we had a research centre in Strawn to do that, wouldn't it?
It would.
And just my final update, if I can, on the status of Dick Clark Jetty and what the problem is with that one not being reopened.
Through that, we have assessed the end portion of it is damaged and is not safe. Timbers have been snapped underneath from the storm. It is safe to open to that point. The instruction has been given to move the barriers or set up barriers just on the end portion until we can get those repairs done. So we'll follow up to ensure that's been actioned, that it is open up to that point. If it hasn't already.
It hasn't. As of this morning. Thank you.
Oh, just while we're on that, I guess, Aaron, have we got a plan in place for the repairs of that? Are we looking at insurance claim or
Through that,
MAST grant funding?
yeah, I think Mars will be our
Yep.
first work.
Any other councillors?
Through you, Mayor. I wonder whether the street sweeper is potentially should be removed from this list at this point in time.
Yeah. I guess we have made that decision that it won't be in this year's budget, and we'll look at future budgets with regard to that. Yep. Okay, I've just got one just on 195 with regard to the Student Advisory Council. So we've met with the senior management, school senior management. Have we got any feedback on the packages that we
So the team has met with the leadership group at the schools. We have proposed a much more simplified version of sort of a one-page worksheet that the students can do. I think I spoke last time about a bit of reluctance in terms of coming to council. We're working through what, realistically, it's going to be the start of next year now, so that we can do that. We're looking at opportunities for a sort of small package we can give the students and other ways to potentially make it again, more bite-sized, so potentially organising an event in each school where we go and spend an hour with a workshop, just as a once-off day, not necessarily signing up for the council, so that they can get that bit of engagement and we can start that feedback and start that interest, so students know what they're signing up for, and working really closely with the schools and the teachers on that, so we're not impacting on what is already a busy school day and on the teachers themselves. So we'll continue working with the school group on that to have something ready to go early next year. It may not look like a committee in its early form, but it's a way of engaging the young people in the community that's a bit more flexible and easy to implement.
I wonder if you are going to them, if it's not worth any council that's got a bit of time, we all front up and sort
I
of
think that's
break the ice, you know, just sort of put
That would
ourselves
be
out there.
I think that's probably more what needs to happen here.
Yeah,
It needs, and you know, the advisory council is a student advisory council is an advisory council to council. So I think it's something which we
go and introduce ourselves.
as council should be involved in this as well.
And through you, May, I should say that all the students who did apply originally, we have written thanks to and presented those and expressed our appreciation to recognise the fact that they've stood up and you know, had that community spirit.
And I know there is certainly one young student in Strawn that one day will end up being Prime Minister of Australia.
No doubt, I have no doubt.
Very good.
Fair point.
Okay. No other discussions on item 375, councillors? No? Okay, we'll keep moving. Item 376, committees and council for noting, which we've got no reports. Item 377 is the General Manager report. That the General Manager's report as presented. Someone like to move that way, please? Move councillor Ivanicky, seconded councillor Stringer. Open for discussion, councillors. Any discussions on any topics? Councillor McKay, what are you laughing for?
That you don't give me the gavel. In infrastructure and operations, page 46, it's noted there are delays to the Zeehan pool repairs. Could we possibly get an update on that, and if it is going to be on track for that February open? There is community wondering whether they're going to miss out on a pool again for the whole season.
Through you, Mayor, I'll just start before passing to Aaron to say that that's the update. That isn't a new update. There's not further delays.
Through you, no, there's no further delays. They were fairly minor, so the timeline hasn't significantly changed since our last meeting.
So we are still.
We're on track for February?
Around February, yeah.
We're on track for February?
I can take that on notice if you'd like to know.
Please.
I think that's something which we certainly need to have at least 1 month of the pools in Zeehan open. So if it can be early February, that'd be, and I think we should be pushing the contractors to get that, enforcing them, not just discussing with them. We should be putting the heat on them to.
We are
Action.
doing everything we can to progress it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
What we don't want to do is raise expectations and then disappoint people as
Yeah.
well. So that's
Yeah.
why we're being cautious about the timeframes.
Can I, through you, Mayor, can I ask, our May timeline for both upgrades, Zeehan and Strawn, how are we travelling on those? Are we looking, the gym redevelopments rather, just to be more specific, are we looking on track?
Through you, Mayor, no major hiccups. Things at Strawn are progressing really well. Zeehan as well. A few quibbles with some supply stuff, but nothing major.
Excellent, good news.
Any other questions, councillor? Okay.
Page 52, the economic and community development. I'd like to give thanks to Oka Health for participating in the Global Blue Tree project and creating awareness around mental health. The tree is quite striking on the intersection, and they should be commended for that initiative.
Very good. Thanks, councillor. Any other questions, councillors?
I do, Mayor. Further to the question about the Zeehan pool that councillor McKay raised, I'm wondering if we have a cost estimate for the additional repairs that were necessary.
Through you, Mayor, off the top of my head, it was no more than $20,000. It was a very small percentage of the overall project cost.
Great, thank you. And I had a second question on page 50 around animal control. I noticed the report showed a significant increase in animal complaints received and infringements issued in the past month, and I was curious of the reason for that.
Through you, Mayor. Has been an increase in complaints, and again, I think it's down to community expectation around animals and that we are more visible out there. I've got a bigger team now. We have availability for further, patrols, etc. And I think it's made people realise that if there is an issue to lodge a complaint. So it is a big growth area in our department lately, which in some ways is good, some ways is bad, but it sort of has the benefits of people understanding that there's consequences for those actions with the animals.
Thank you. And Mayor, I just had a follow-up question to that. When you launch a complaint, do you still have to pay money for that? Or is that just the barking dog complaint?
Complaints can vary. It may be either a barking dog or it may be someone just calling up and saying there's an animal out in the main street. So it's not just necessarily the barking. You still have to lodge a fee with the barking complaint. complaint, and if that is proven, you'll have that refunded. But just for a normal call up and say there's an animal out, there's no fee for that.
Thank you. That was it.
I guess-
I'd like to commend all of the people involved in the Health Fest. Health West Fest. It was a great demonstration. I went along to that and spoke to every single one of the presenters of that, and it was a tremendous effort. That was a really, really well put together event, and I couldn't believe that we could attract so many to it. It was really, really well done. So, congratulations to all involved. It was a fantastic day.
Yeah, no, from the hearings I've been hearing, it certainly was. I wasn't hearing at the time, but reach out to the Growth and Change team, but also the Study Hub and you, Taz, as well, and the Neighbourhood Centre in Zoom as well, that all participated in some way. And I guess on the Study Hub, we're losing the general, or the manager over there at Zoom, and I'd like to wish her all the best in her future. Certainly has done some great things over there at the Study Hub in Zoom. Her work will be
You
missed.
should write to her mayor. Thank you for her efforts.
Yep.
Yeah.
I shall do. Any other questions, councillors? Okay. Put to vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, item 378 is outstanding advocacy correspondence for noting. Any discussions on any of that, councillors?
I note Eli never got back to me.
Right now,
Now
have more time.
From.
But it did spark a bit of commentary in the media, so which is good. Yeah. But as was, there's a few outstanding there that we probably won't hear back from. Senator Whish-Wilson, which we don't seem to have much luck with any Greens members, although we've had the leader of the Greens here recently, which was good to see. But anyway, we'll keep working on that. Okay, item 379, correspondence. For noting, council resolved the correspondence, both incoming and outgoing, as presented, be noted. There's nothing there that needs any response to, unless there's any councillors that wish for us to respond. Yes, councillor.
Page 64, the Tasport letter. I would like to commend GM Chiara for working with Tasports and rebuilding that relationship back, and the undertaking from them to support council in the investment in beautification works, and that the works will continue under the grant deed. So great work, Kira.
Yes, and it was, and I guess we should also at this period in time thank Ruth Forrest as well for her part in this, and I guess that's one thing that did assist us. Ruth reached out to us when she heard about our dealings with Tasports and took that on board during discussion on estimates with Tasports. So I'd like to thank her as well for her input there, and certainly did help or assist in getting Tasports around the table. And we had the interim CEO call just after that media release went out with regards to that. So yeah, great work, GM. No other discussions, councillors, on the correspondence? No? Okay, we'll keep moving then. Item 380 is sponsorship application. So the recommendation is that council determine the funding request as per the following application. 1, determine cash funding, if any, up to $1,000 event sponsorship for TAS Gravity Enduro Series MTB event to be held on Mount Owen MTB network in January 2025. And the second one is to determine cash funding, if any, up to $1,000 innovation sponsorship for Echoes in the miniature modelling project. Someone like to move either way, councillors? It's a bit hard to work on this one because we've got two separate.
They need to be.
I think those should be separated.
Yes.
So we'll move number one first. If someone like to move on number one, move councillor Mackay, second councillor Newman. Okay, any discussions on the matters, councillors?
If we're going to get traction with mountain bikes, we've got to have events.
Absolutely.
It's the only way, in my eyes.
Yep.
I just, personally, I was involved in it. We had a similar event a couple of years ago, and I worked with some mates and provided first aid medical response services on the tracks, and the feedback from that event, so I think we should support it.
Any other discussions, councillor? I've just got one. I think hopefully this time that they do get the media out there, that the event's on. Last time, a lot of locals didn't even know the event was on. So hopefully that they've taken that on board this time, and we'll get a bit of media around that the event is on right around the West Coast, because there is other people on the West Coast that would like to come and, there's probably some advantage points to watch, but, it's something which, if we want to promote it, we need to do the promotion as well. So hopefully, if we, fund this $1,000 sponsorship, that some of that money does go to promoting the event.
Through you, Mayor, could we put something in response to that?
Yeah, I guess we could, councillor, if you, in the response that we would like to see some promotional work done on promoting the event on the West Coast. Well, not just the West Coast, but across the state.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a lot of people that are in the mountain biking, and there's a lot of people that aren't in the mountain biking but would like to still be part of that weekend. So, Councillor Mackay, are you happy if that was added to the?
Certainly, Mayor.
We ask them that they do promoting of the event. Okay, any other discussions, councillors? Who was second that one?
I did.
You're happy to?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. So item 2 is determine cash funding, if any, up to $1,000 for innovation sponsorship for Echoes in the miniature modelling project. Someone like to move that way, please? Move councillor Stringer, seconded councillor Butterfield. Open for discussions, councillors. Well, from my own point of view, having been there and seen what's been put together already, I think it is an attraction that Zeehan certainly needs. It's across the road from the Heritage Centre. The Heritage Centre space doesn't lend itself for anything like this. This is in a building that was vacant, that he's taken on, and it certainly is an attraction that does open up children's, I guess, their aspects. I took a group in there recently, and they were just blown away by the different things that are in there, and the proposed additions that he is looking at putting in there. So, I think it's something. It is an innovation. It's something different. I think it certainly does offer something for the Zeehan community. It is a free to entry to go and see it. Just if people want to make a donation, they can. But it is a great attraction.
Through you, Mayor, I concur with that. And once again, maybe in discussions with Alan when this goes out, that we're recognised for the contribution, potentially, whichever way the vote goes, obviously. But if it's in the positive, I would suggest that we do the same thing as for the mountain bikes.
Yep.
Through you, Mayor, I agree that it's very well done, but I'm really stuck on the bit in the report where it says we'd be funding an independent business operator, and I would really like to have more discussions. We talked about kind of fleshing out what that might look like in our policy to get our policy a bit tighter. I'm just not sure that's true to the spirit of our policy.
Just further that, we have in the past given sponsorship to individuals. This is an innovation fund, so it is for innovations, it is for business entrepreneurship. And we have given, sports people individual sponsorships in the past as well, so just...
We funded brewery equipment for a brewery, we funded a few other things.
Yeah.
too.
Yes. Any other discussions, councillors, for or against? No? We'll put it to a vote though. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? One against. Carried. Thank you, councillors. Okay. Item 381 is a report on the King River Wave proposal. Recommendation is that council notes the response from Hydro Tas regarding the King River Wave proposal. Someone like to move that way, please? Move councillor Graham, second Councillor Newman. Open for discussions, councillors.
Well, it's good to see Hydro interested in this. Previously they expressed, an extreme lack of interest in it. So it's great to see them change their tune and come on board. It's, any of these attractions all add to a potential another day on the West Coast, doesn't it? So any of these things are a good thing. Interesting to see who's going to endure it. We'll wait and see how that goes, but it'd be great to see it happen.
It would be, and I guess it is interesting that the Fed, we've got response even though it's been slow, and we have got a response from.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep. Any other discussions, councillors? Put to a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 382 is a report on the Health Fest West event. Recommendation is that note the success of the inaugural Health Fest West event held in October 2024. Someone like to move that way, please. Move councillor Graham, second Councillor Ivanicki. Open for discussions, councillors. I think we've had a little bit of discussion, but is there any further discussion?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. I think it was indicative of the fact that there is an enormity of service providers providing services on the West Coast, and it's a shame we didn't get more community along. We got, there was a bit of community interest, but nowhere near what we would hope for. For them to appreciate what services are provided and how to access it by talking directly to the service providers. We know there's over 90, and I think there was over 35 present. It has to be
40 presented.
Yeah. So it was wonderful to see such a great turnout. But it is indicative of just how many services there are provided on the West Coast. There's an enormous amount of them, and services that have an enormous amount of both health and wellbeing outcomes to the community. So I was very pleased to see. Very pleased.
Yeah, I think it was a great event, and maybe that's something which could be learned from the location. Okay, the school was an ideal location, but to open it up for the wider community, maybe somewhere else.
Maybe, I don't know. Again, Councillor McKay and I spoke about this on the way up in the car. I think it's just, this is the first time we've done it.
Yes.
And I think it was a good learning curve. We should be doing this more regularly. We should be, the service providers indicated a great willingness to come along. Yeah. So we should be, perhaps we need to close the street and do it on a Saturday morning, something along those lines.
Just through you, Mayor, just as a sidelight to that, the Zian Park Run, which is now up to about 43, I think, it's only been suspended once. There were several people that had stalls that actually came over and done the park run at 9 o'clock in the morning, advertising that not only had they come up for the fest, they were also out there promoting their own wares. So possibly maybe a little bit more thought, because it did conflict with the park run, which is on from 9 till 11. I mean, obviously you can still get to Queenstown in time, but That was probably something that may,
Coordination again?
yes, yeah. Left hand not talking to the right hand maybe, so. But yeah, very complimentary, the people that came over, and they had stalls there, so it's quite good.
Great event, great event.
Very good. No other discussion, council, we'll put that to a vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, item 383 is Roads to Recovery project nomination for 24-25. The recommendation is that council approve the nomination of the selected projects to be delivered as part of the 24-25 Roads to Recovery allocation. Someone like to move that way, please. Move Councillor Newman, seconded Councillor Ionicki. Open for discussions, councillors.
Mayor, do we have an extensive asset management plan for our roads with ratings to priority?
Through you, Mayor.
Yep.
We do have an asset management plan for often a guide that requires ground proofing. We do have useful asset files and projected renewal dates on all of our assets. But often they get affected by local conditions, so you have a long-term plan and you're sort of shuffling priorities and then different factors of deterioration or circumstances like this. We've got, local conditions like a mine shaft leaching into that area or, so we do have an overall understanding of what the long-term renewal of assets needs to look like.
As well as value?
As well as value, yes.
Yeah. Is it possible to councillors to have access to that?
I don't see an issue, why not? We'll have a look.
It'd make it easier
How
in understanding decisions of where.
It would be helpful for this
going.
weekend, if I might add. If it did go on diligent,
We can look to do that.
this is
That'd be
information
great.
that we need to be able to look at.
As Aaron says, it's something that needs to be consistently updated.
Yeah.
There's all asset.
It'll certainly give me a better understanding of our assets and the management.
Any other discussions, councillors?
I'd just like to ask, is the money for the Roads to Recovery program, is that a grant at all?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah.
Yep. And the 2.67 mil over the 5 years, so that 160 Luana Road and the other for the curbing, the
Yep.
Pringles 165, so that'll come out of that 2.67 mil, and that will be remaining for the next 4 years.
That's right.
For Roads to Recovery.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So this is where, if you look at the Granville Harbour Road, when that was done over
Yep.
multiple years, that came out of the Roads to Recovery funding, so it was done over, and which is, I guess that'll be a similar scenario with Luana Road. There'll be certain sections, just so we're not throwing all the money into one road all at once.
So the remaining money of that 2.67 mil, once the 160 comes out for Luana and the 165 for the Pringles IGA driveway replacement, that will be spent on Luana Road?
Well, that'll be up to staff, I guess.
Somewhere else?
Whatever,
Somewhere
yeah.
else, or-
It'll be worked out over the next 4 years where it goes
Through
to.
you, Mayor. I think a bit of a strategic plan on how we allocate it over that time.
Yep.
So basically what I mean, over the next 5 years, will Luana Road receive basically 2.3 million in funding alone?
No.
No,
No?
no,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Through you, Mayor, just for a bit of edification, the Mayor mentioned about the Granville Road. This one has been on the radar now for probably 5 or 10 years, if not longer. And the same with the Luana Road, there's been quite a few concerned residents that have expressed views that it should have been done. Well, it's getting done now, but it should have been done sooner, if you know what I mean. So obviously, and it's like Councillor Mackay said about asset management, working out a strategic plan how we can do these things, so.
No, that's fine, that's just to help me understand this a little bit better.
And it's only that 1 kilometre from Green Street through to Luana Road. So that's all that, so it gives you an idea of how much it costs to repair a road, mate.
Oh, yeah.
160 grand a kilometre.
So rule of thumb's a mil a K for Shields,
Yeah. So each year, even though we're allocated that much, we've still got to have what we're going to get done approved under that program.
Yeah.
Yeah. just to clarify. And is there a co-contribution? No.
It's all
Yeah.
project green funded. Okay, any other discussions, councillors? We'll put that to a vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Item 384 is matters for closed meeting. Council, sorry, where am I? Item 384 is recommendations that items 386 to 397 be discussed by council in closed session. Someone like to move that way, please. Move councillor Newman, seconded councillor Graham. Put to a vote, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, item 385 is recommendation is the council resolve by absolute majority to go into closed session to consider the following matters which are listed, time being 6 o'clock. Someone like to move that way, please. Move councillor Graham, seconded councillor Butterfield. Put that to a vote, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, thank you, members of the public.
Would there ever be a time that you would not vote to go into closed session? Or is it just